Hey everybody, it is an exciting time for the real estate market. The market has been very, very slow for a long time. And today we are going to talk to one of my favorite real estate experts about it. He is Leo Pareja. He is CEO of EXP Realty, and he's going to be sharing his insights on the state of the market. Before we dive in, please take a minute and check out the link you see on your screen, fool.com/Frankel. It's the best way to support interviews like this. And you can get the top 10 stocks to buy right now from my sponsor, The Motley Fool. Again, best way to support this, what I'm doing on YouTube. And that link again is fool.com/Frankel. Enjoy. So last time I talked with you, it was a few months. I believe it was right after the settlement, the big NAR settlement, but before it had taken effect. So for listeners who aren't familiar, basically it changed the way that buyers agents, not necessarily the way they're compensated, but the way that they have to disclose how they're paid and things like that. So last time we spoke, that was still a few months away from taking effect. And can you explain to listeners, just kind of in simple terms, what has changed in the market?
100%. So as of August 17th, MLSs, which are the databases where we cooperatively share data of what's available in the marketplace, can no longer offer a unilateral offer of compensation. So prior to August 17th, the seller and the agent would decide how much is being offered as a blanket offer of compensation. And anyone who brought you a buyer was entitled to that fee as long as a reduced paying member of that MLS association. So that's been deleted. It was paragraph 19 of the settlement. And now, prior to showing a house, a buyer and a buyer's agent, so their representative, have to enter into a contractual relationship disclosing how and how much and when will they be compensated. So it could be upfront, most likely going to be on the settlement statement. The seller still has the right to offer compensation. It cannot be on the MLS, so it could be off the MLS through a document disclosure. There are several methods that specific to the state, but mechanically what's happened, Matt, is that, and I've seen a couple reports, not our data, but third-party data. There's an analyst by the name of Mike Del Preti. I think his website is miked.com. He put out saying he had 55,000 anonymized transactions from several major real estate companies, and it was about a 10 basis point move. So the net effect hasn't been hugely monetarily, but I think the positive effect is I think there's a very real conversation about what an agent does, the hours it takes to render that service. The average buy-side transaction takes an agent 87 hours and probably 6 months with lots of in-person meetings and driving around. So I think anything, Matt, that drives transparency in the consumer experience is a win in my book. I do think that the plaintiff's attorney is behind it. We're selfish and just trying to go for a money grab and not really keeping the consumer's best interest in mind. But if any net delivery or execution is more transparency, I'm for it.
So you mentioned there haven't really been too many big impacts yet, but you also brought up a term that I like to use called like fee awareness or fee conscious consumers. So we could probably both agree that until this happened, a lot of buyers didn't know how their agents got paid. I certainly didn't. When I bought my first house, it was, I want to say 2011. And I had I had to enter a contract to say, okay, you're my exclusive representative, whatever. I had no clue how he got paid or how much he got paid until we sat down at the closing table. So now that you're seeing consumers become a lot more fee conscious, and it's impacted other industries when that's happened. Think of just like how you buy stocks, like the commissions you pay on stocks when people got a little more fee aware. In certain other aspects of financial services, when people got more fee aware, say credit card fees or whatever are under pressure, things like that. Are you worried about long-term fee pressure as consumers become fee conscious?
No, and again, I'm speaking as someone who was a market participant. So I'm not saying it as a talking head and as a shareholder of a fiduciary responsibility to a publicly traded company. I truly think that the market sets rates based on what a service provider is willing to provide the rate for and what a consumer is willing to pay for it, right? If you make it free, it's not sustainable, it doesn't last. If you make it too expensive, no one consumes your product or service. If someone can explain to me how we can do the transaction in less than an average of 80 to 100 hours, then I think there could be real fee compression, right? Real estate is probably one of the most friction-full transactions that I think an American consumer can experience. You just pointed out stocks or credit cards, right? That's a highly commoditized, frictionless experience, right? Where we're actually like, whether it's a seat on a plane or a unit of a stock, I'm clicking buttons on a screen, right? Buying a piece of real estate, there's 3,500 plus municipalities, counties, cities, boroughs, stateships where public records are processed and filed. There's so many different types of loans from, almost 100% finance through down payment assistance programs to a balance sheet loan at a local bank versus a Fannie Freddie loan. The complexity that comes with it. Are you buying a 80-year-old house that could have radon problems and polybutylene and clay tile that's no longer insurable? Like there's so many moving parts, and I think with the amount of insurance problems that we're going to have between the fires and flooding, I think the need for an expert guide to hold someone's hand through it is going to increase, not decrease. And so, again, if there could be radical advancements in the amount of time dedicated per unit of transaction, I think there's. Look, I'm all for capitalism, and I think whenever the conversation of commission compression comes up, I think people forget to remember that there's 1.6 million realtors who are fiercely competing with each other to undercut each other to win business, and if there was double-digit percentages of margin to be had, they would have cannibalized each other just out of the pure competitive nature of capitalism. And again, at the end of the day, you're gonna be willing to pay what the market bears, and if someone can do it efficiently for a lot less, they will. I mean, that's how capitalism works.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And I mean, that figure of 80 plus hours on the average transaction is something that I don't think a lot of buyers are aware of. Just reading message boards, just the general perception is that a lot of first time buyers think their realtor spends the 3 to 4 hours of FaceTime they have, and that's it. So that's really
No, there's actually a study by a technology company called Raise, Rayse, that it polled consumers, and on average, they thought their agent spent no more than 15 hours.
Mhm.
And that same studies had the 87 hours. So NAR says 80 to 100 hours. Ray's study said an average of 87. So, I mean, just the disparity. So one of the things we've been doing is making sure that we educate consumers as to what goes into it, right? So NAR has a list of 105 tasks that our average agent completes during a transaction. I think most people are surprised. And I put the onus also back on the agent, right? Where they don't articulate what it is they do for a living, right? All the things that are mundane to them, and they have a very sophisticated, system for follow-up and completing those tasks. But without explaining that to the consumer, then there's probably this mismatch. But again, having a very one of the things we're doing as a company, Matt, is we've empowered agents with presentations and data, right? So if I'm going to say that this is my fee for the services rendered, which again is fully negotiable between the buyer and the agent, part of that process and that presentation is to articulate and explain what it is, what services I'm going to render for the fee I'm asking for.
Makes sense. So you kind of teed this one up, but this is my last one, and it's kind of an EXP specific question. So I was looking when I was doing my homework for this interview. I was looking through all your latest press releases, and more than half of them have to do with agents and their teams coming over to EXP's platform. I know the last realtor I used to buy a home, hi Suzanne, recently came over to EXP's platform with our team. And what are these top factors? Like, why is EXP so successful in attracting all these top real estate teams?
Yeah, no, a great question. And one is I obsess with the value proposition every single day. I tell my agents I wake up every morning trying to make being at EXP better than not being at EXP. And you actually used the term that I use the most, which I describe it as a platform, right? Where we were a first of its kind and created a category where it's a national platform. It's not franchise. So most of the legacy models we compete with are legacy franchise models where you're competing with a 2 or 3 person independent company that can't provide all the fees and services, right? So the average agent is being supported by a 3 to 5 person small business. We have roughly 2,500 full-time employees. And so when an agent like Suzanne joins us, depending on the state she joined us in, she could have 12 brokers supporting her at any given point. We have a 24/7 support hotline for agents where last month we processed 280,000 support tickets with 31,000 phone calls with less than a 30-second hold time and a 90% resolution score, right? So we're a scaled enterprise that supports agents' businesses, however large they want to build them. And, you know, we're happy and excited to partner with an agent doing 12 to 24 transactions a year. And we're also grateful to call the number, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 teams in the world that do 1,200, 1,500, 1,100, 900 transactions a year with us. And so we're really built to support the agent's entrepreneurial dreams and whatever size business they want to build.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. You all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investments. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market more than 5 times. Go to fool.com/Frankel to get your 10 stock picks now. The Motley Fool Stock Advisor returns are 914% as of January 7th, 2025, and are measured against the S&P 500 returns of 174% as of January 7th, 2025.